Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing. Okay, we're live. Hey, welcome back to the Sit Back and Chat podcast. I'm your host, Brooklyn B, and this is the first video episode of the podcast. Hello, welcome. It feels so good to be back on the podcast after a forever and ever eternity hiatus. Where have I been? Low-key, I don't even know. Life has been crazy. This semester, I'm a junior now, has had hands. It has been in full-on Mike Tyson fight mode. I've been fighting for my life, and I'm not joking. Unfortunately, September was the most roller coaster ride of a time ever. I was having panic attacks. I was having insomnia. I was nauseous all the time. I was just sick from the amount of stress that I had induced onto my life, because I thought for some reason taking 18 credit hours was a good idea. And hear me out, some people can do that, not I. Anywho, I hope everyone had a happy Halloween. I dressed up as a pirate and I took a bunch of pictures, but none of them ate, so I just did not post any of them, and I feel I'm just gonna try again next Halloween. And now I know not to wait until the last second to try to get a costume. I was on Amazon. I was trying to be Princess Tiana from The Princess and the Frog. It's a week before Halloween. There are no corsets, no skirts, no tiaras. So I went to Spirit Halloween, got this $80 costume package bundle. As soon as I sent a picture to my family group chat, my sister was what are you? Ma'am, I'm a pirate. Not too much. Anywho, I'm gonna talk about why you should have an element of mystery to you, how to stop oversharing, and the power in privacy. I used to have this problem with oversharing where I would just tell people entirely too much as a bonding mechanism. Oh, if I tell them this crazy story, now we're bonded for life, now you have to be my friend because I'm so real. But it's girl, no. Real, yes, but there's a time and a place and a way to reveal certain things about yourself, and some things you just don't need to tell people. Not because it's inherently bad or because it's embarrassing, but it's just sometimes you have to think to yourself, why am I telling this person this thing? Because if you're an oversharer like I used to be, you probably don't have an answer. I would just be telling people things literally just to tell them. This isn't to relate to them, or maybe it is, but this isn't to give them advice or help them with something, a old tale of I did this and I overcame that. No, I'm just literally talking and exposing all these different parts of myself to someone who probably does not deserve or need to know me like that. Oversharing is just never worth it. There has never been a time where I have overshared to someone and I'm yeah, that felt great. Every time I would overshare, I would leave and be why did I just tell them that? It would honestly give me some sort of anxiousness of now they know this and they didn't need to know that. It's just this whole big thing for ultimately no reason, just to connect to someone, just to try to relate to someone. There's so many things to relate about that don't have to be your personal life or your trauma or some happening. You can relate about things that don't require you to have a whole story time and tell secrets and stuff. We don't have to do all of that. Information is revealed over time. You don't have to give someone your entire lore in one sitting. There's no reason. If you overshare to the point where I feel I know everything about you, then there's no reason for us to connect any further. What else could I learn? There's no mystery. Everything has been revealed. There's power in privacy. People can't ruin, misconstrue, and spread around things that they don't know. So if you don't tell people things in the first place, then they can't ruin them. To put it quite simply, not everyone needs to know every single thing about you, truly. The second you share something with someone, it's no longer in your control. You have no control over how it's presented, who it's shared with, what's said, nothing. It's over. I suggest that you don't tell people things that you wouldn't want other people knowing, because you think you're telling one person something and then next thing you know 5 other people know. Because once you share something with one person, they tell 2 other people, and those 2 other people tell 5 other people, and those 5 other people tell 10 other people. It just keeps going. Honestly, I feel anything that you share with anyone is probably just not going to be a secret for real. Like, unless they are A, your therapist, or B, someone that doesn't know anyone else that you know. And even then, you just gotta be careful. Privacy and leading a privater life allows you to preserve your own, like, personal intrigue. I feel like people who have a sense of mystery about themselves are usually a little bit more attractive because, like, you don't know everything about them, like, up front. Like, they're not telling you their entire lore in one sitting. So you want to get to know more about them because they haven't revealed everything about themselves. If someone reveals everything about themselves, like, there's nothing else to get to know. So, like, it just gets boring so fast. Leave a little bit of mystery to yourself so people can continually get to know you. You don't want someone to think that they, like, know everything about you, like, ever. You gotta keep some surprises up your sleeve. A little bit of intrigue keeps the curiosity, and it keeps things exciting and leaves room for anticipation. Like, for example, in card games, you don't reveal all of your cards at once when you're playing Uno. You put down one card at a time, and here's the catch. You get to choose what cards you lay out there. It's the same thing with information, or just, like, little things. I'm not even just talking about secrets, like, for this episode. I'm saying, like, a lot of things. Like, you don't need to tell everyone, like, all of your hobbies when they ask you, like, what your hobbies are. Like, say one or two. And then if it comes up again, like, you can mention a few more, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I never knew that you did horseback riding. And you're like, oh, well, yeah, I do. See, like, now they feel like they're learning more about you still, even though you guys have talked about that topic previously. But if you're playing Uno and put all of your cards on the table at one time, like, the game wouldn't be fun anymore. There's no anticipation. There's no surprises. We already know everything. It's over. LOL. I feel like the moral of all of this is that by not revealing everything at once, you're keeping people intrigued. You're keeping people curious about you, aka you're keeping people invested in you over a longer period of time. Like I said, information is revealed in time, or it should be revealed in time. You shouldn't be telling people everything about you in one sitting. It's basically just TMI, like, just too much information being shared at one time for practically no reason. And I used to be a huge overshare, like I mentioned previously. And the thing is, like, in high school, like, spam account on Instagram culture was so huge, where you'd have this private account where, like, pretty much only your friends or, like, people in your class followed you. So people would be on these spam accounts, like, when I tell you, having a tell all moment unpaid, yeah, photos and all, receipts and all, like, journal entries and all, like, people were sharing everything. Looking back, it was actually very, very crazy. I mean, I'm not gonna just say people, like, I was doing the same thing too, like, just stuff that, like, A, should not have been posted, and B, like, no one needed to know that other than, like, a close friend, a family member, a therapist. But, like, my whole following list, are you insane? Oversharing is never worth it, and, like, it typically just leaves you feeling stupid, and you're just like, why did I say all of that? I feel like the reasons for oversharing are, like, trying to connect with other people or relate to other people. You're looking for, like, some validation, support, sympathy, attention, trying to be noticed, trying to stand out, or just you have no social awareness or boundaries. And low-key it'd be like that. Like, I'm not trying to clown you, I'm not trying to come for your neck. Once you overshare, you instantly lose all autonomy over the information that you just revealed. Whether that information is shared with other people, how it's presented, what your intention is shaped as, like, you have no control over that any longer once you start oversharing and, like, telling everyone your business. And you're, like, giving people an in to just judge you, honestly. And people are going to judge you regardless. Do what you need to do. Like, don't do things just, like, out of fear of judgment, because, like, me sitting here talking in this microphone on this couch, like, I'm being judged. I'm being judged by the people that are walking past me in the background. I'm being judged by maybe people listening to this. Like, however, choose wisely what you want to be judged for. Not oversharing just helps protect your privacy, which I feel like privacy is something that's so undervalued in today's culture. People get likes and views and shares for just, like, sharing everything and, like, telling super, like, personal, like, even invasive sometimes stories. And I think that's great, honestly, like, especially if it's from an educational place to, like, help you, and I don't want you in the same situation, like, things like that. But just to be, like, tell all, doing the most low-key, now you're just allowing people to have an outlet to nitpick you and your situations, your choices. And this is not even coming from a place of judgment, because, like, I truly don't care what people do, promise you. But privacy is something that should be very, very valued, because once you don't have it anymore, you don't have it anymore. And there are so many things that I wish I would have kept private. I had never told people, especially the people that I did tell. You get hurt a lot by being super trusting of others or just telling people a bunch of stuff. It does no really good. So my practical tips to stop oversharing: ask yourself why you are telling this person this piece of information and why it is necessary for them to know this. 9 times out of 10, it's not necessary, and they shouldn't know this. Second thing I want you to ask yourself is, what are you gaining by sharing this information? Or what is this other person gaining from you sharing this information with them? A lot of the time, it's nothing. Third question, are you just bored? Honestly, I would used to overshare sometimes because I was literally just bored, or there was like a pause in the conversation. I'm just like trying to like get it going again. So like now I'm telling like this crazy story, and it's just too much. It's just too much. The last question is, and you have to seriously ask yourself this, are you just telling this person this to try to build a false sense of connection with them? With oversharing, like sometimes you tell people too much because you're just trying to connect with them, and sometimes you feel like you can't connect with people other than like telling them your personal business. And it should never be that serious. Like you should be able to have a conversation, and a good conversation with someone, without having like the itch to like start telling your personal business and lore. Another tip to stop oversharing is to listen way more than you speak. Sometimes I'll just be talking and I'm realizing like I'm not even talking about anything. You learn so much about people if you just listen. That's it. Even when there's a pause in the conversation, like sometimes just don't even say anything. Like just wait for them to start talking, and people will reveal so much about themselves, and they can like just really tell you something about someone's character. Tip number 3 is that if you find yourself oversharing, redirect the conversation so like you're literally forced to stop. When I was having the tendency to overshare, I would just simply be like, but that's a story for another time. Simple as that. And then like we just never talk about the story another time, literally. Or I would just cut myself off completely and be like, but how are you? How have you been? Just move on. Because sometimes you don't realize you're oversharing until like you're already starting to say something and like starting to tell something. You're like, wait a second, hold up, not too much. And the fourth and final tip is to literally just journal. Or sometimes I get a little too lazy to like write things down, so get in your voice memos and literally just like start talking on the voice memo as if you're going to send the audio recording to a friend. So like you're getting it off your chest, you're sharing the story, but like there's just no audience. Trust me, I look back on so many things I've like told people and said and wish I just would have journaled, or like the audio tip, or just something. Literally anything else but that. So I know I've been talking about oversharing and maintaining mystery. You may be wondering, like, how do I know who I can trust? Well, first of all, low-key, no one. I'm not joking. Like, low-key, no one. I promise you guys, I'm not jaded for real. But it's not about who you trust. It's about what information you don't care about getting out. I don't care how close you are to someone. Someone's going to know something about something eventually. I'm sorry. They might not say anything about it within the year of you telling them that information, but like one day, eventually, someone's going to tell someone else. If you have a secret that you have never told anyone, that was told to you by someone else, like literally email me. I will Venmo you. I will Venmo you, but I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. So you have to think about what information you are okay with getting out, or you have to think when and if the person you told this information to, when they eventually inevitably tell someone, are they at least going to be trustworthy to the point where they won't say where the origin of this secret is, who this is about? Or are they going to tell people that don't even know who you are? So it really just comes down to like those 3 things. But just know that like not everything is a secret, and like don't think that you just like cannot tell anyone anything ever. I don't think that's true. I just think that there is a difference between like information that, you know, you can and should share with people, and information that's like completely unnecessary and that like could be used against you. But in conclusion, I hope this episode was helpful, and it's coming from a place of I've been there, I've done that, unfortunately. So if I can save anyone from the pain and sorrow and suffering of having the business that they put out there getting put out there further, then I, of course, want to do that, because why wouldn't I, you know? So I hope you are having a wonderful day, And I hope that you can take some of this advice, all of it, none of it, whatever the case may be. Be careful what you tell other people. Be careful what you do, because unfortunately not everyone has your best interest at heart. Have the discernment and the intuition ability to be able to kind of gauge that a little bit better, and I promise that you will be fine. But just keep in mind, when you're sharing information, that it might not just stay between the two of you. I mean, half of the things that I do tell my friends and stuff, like, it's stuff I don't even care about. It doesn't really matter for real. But, you know, those bigger things or things that are like near and dear to your heart, that would be like hurtful, or things are just like sensitive, like, you know, sometimes people just talk and talk and talk, and you can't do anything about it once it's out there. That is all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace, love, tranquility. Come back for another episode. Bye.